start the meeting at 6:32. We would like to acknowledge the land that we meet on today is traditional lands of the Gawler people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge that the Gawler people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Gawler people today. Start with the roll call, and we have two apologies, one from Abby Dale and Emerson Speed, and we have Renee joining us. Do we have any motions to grant leave of absence? No, we have one current leave of absence, which is Darcy, and we don't have any non-attendance. We'll move on to the public open forum. We have Miss Penelope Morrison, who's the Education and Community Projects Coordinator from Norma, is giving us a brief presentation on the Norma FOGO service and the new curbside FOGO bins, and she's joining us via Zoom. You may need to unmute if you're able to.
Hi, I'm only sort of, oh, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay, I've only sort of caught a little bit of what you've said. I haven't heard very clearly at this end. I'm not sure if I've got a video or you want me to have a video.
Whatever you would like to do, we don't.
All right, well, I had some slides to share if you would like to see them.
Okay, I think you may have to turn your video on in order to share.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't got sound. I can hear you dropping in and out. I've only got options at this end to stop the video. It appears as though it's going. I'm not sure if you can see anything there. Sorry, I haven't got any sound coming through here either. Not sure if you can hear me.
It's saying your camera might be broken.
Oh, I can hear you now, kind of in and out. What was that, sorry?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
All right. All right. Yeah, look, at my end, it says that the video is playing, etc. Obviously, it doesn't appear to be where you are. So I'm happy just to present without any slides, if you would like me to.
Mm-hmm. That works. If you'd like to send the slides to Deb.
Oh, I tried, Deb, sorry, it was a 50 megabyte file. It didn't go through.
Yeah.
Sorry, broken up at this end. I can't actually hear what you're saying.
You there, Penelope?
Oh, I can hear you now, yes.
Are you able to share your screen and start your video?
I don't know how
down the bottom, if you hover down the bottom, does it have a start video button?
It's only got a stop video that's available to press. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think your camera might not be working. The other thing is that we can hardly hear you. We're obviously using microphones here. Are you able to speak any closer to the computer?
I can speak this close. Is this better?
Are you able to speak any louder?
I can try and speak more loudly. Yeah, I can hear you. I couldn't hear anybody else that was speaking before either, so not sure what's happening there. Is this loud enough?
Are you there? Unfortunately, no. We've got
Okay.
quite a few members, as you can see on the video. We can't really hear you. Have you got your hand over any microphone?
No, and look, as I say, I'm not sure who I'm speaking to. I'm sorry, but you're the only person I could hear as well, so I don't think it's working either way.
Okay, so what we might have to do is ask for you to send the presentation through to us, and it can be put up on our Facebook group. But if you'd like to, you can present without that now, and we'll try our best to hear you.
Sure, likewise. So I can hear you now. Can you also hear me now?
Okay, so what we might have to do is ask for you to send the presentation through to us, and it can be put up on our Facebook.
Yep, happy to do that.
Okay.
So did you want me to speak this evening or just send the presentation through?
Are you there? Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work. We might need to get you to send the presentation through, and perhaps we can do an in-person one if the committee are interested in some more information.
Sure,
Sorry
absolutely.
about that. I'm not sure. It's just not coming through with the video or in the volume that we can hear, so I do apologise.
No, that's understandable. All right, and I apologise from this end as well. All right, we'll sort something out for a future. Thank you for the invite, and
Well, yes, thank you for your participation, and hopefully we'll be able to sort something out for our future meeting. We'll move on to the next public open forum then, which is Miss Christy Dudley. It's a special project officer for the town of Gawler, and she's here to give a brief presentation on the tourism strategy, the digital storytelling.
Good evening, through the chair. There was some time ago that I presented to the Gawler Youth Advisory Committee regarding the tourism plan for Gawler, and gave you a little bit of a summary of what was in the plan. Then we had COVID and there was a lot of things that went on, and resources went all over the place. The Visitors Information Centre was closed down for a period, and all sorts of things. So there was a question that came from that presentation all that time ago around digital storytelling, and asking for a bit more information in regards to digital storytelling in relation to tourism. So I'm here tonight just to give you a little bit of information about that. So what our Gawler tourism plan says, there is a little handout with information so people could read it, take it home, digest it, come back with any questions if you've got them. Basically, our tourism plan talks about developing and promoting a user-generated content strategy, which is talking about using digital storytelling as much as possible as a very economical way of promotion to build Gawler's presence on the digital sphere, so social media platforms, websites, etc. And so there I have the dot points for you around confirming the town's promoted destination hashtags that we would use in a campaign like that, promoting the relevant Town of Gawler digital channels, and also encouraging businesses locally to promote theirs as well. And any other third-party digital channels, so things such as TripAdvisor and things like that, trying to build our presences in those areas. Promoting the hashtag and collection methods for residents and local tourism businesses to use. So bringing people onto the program to actually get involved and use those hashtags to label their own content. If they're doing something in Gawler that's interesting, they're posting a video, then to use those hashtags and kind of build that presence of Gawler. So destination storytelling has had a lot of research done over the years. And recently, research shows that visitors get more inspired by locals actually telling inspiring stories or interesting, quirky stories about their area. And they say that that's a better content strategy, focusing on rather than focusing on highlighting imagery of a town or, you know, beautiful landscapes, etc. So it's actually more of a draw card to have that real personal, authentic touch. So what we're looking at doing is using the voices of people who can tell you the hot spots, the cool spots, the iconic spots of where to go, what to do in Gawler in the future. So our ultimate goal in destination marketing is to drive visitation. So what we want is people coming to visit Gawler. That builds the economic development in the town, gets businesses really rocking, and builds prosperity for everyone, creates jobs, etc. So, but in terms of an individual campaign, we don't just look at one metric to say whether that's a successful campaign. So it's just not how many people jump on a campaign, it's how many people actually then are called to action, actually come to the town, how many businesses get involved in that campaign and actually participate in that promotion. So there's lots of different metrics to it. I guess moving forward, Gawler's looking at developing further. We've done a short video promotion, which is a 2-minute video, which was developed specifically for the Top Tourism Town Awards recently. As part of that awards entry, we had to develop an itinerary. We had to develop a video that promoted Gawler, and it needed to match the itinerary as much as possible as well for the judges' requirements. And we needed to provide a number of accommodation sites and other business tourism attractions within the town, as well as some of our things that we put forward for that award. So that 2-minute video, you may have seen it. It ends with the hashtag "You Got Me Gawler," and that's one of the hashtags we're going to be using moving forward into a digital storytelling campaign. So if you can check the video out on the Town of Gawler website. I think it's still in the latest news. You can click on it and have a look at it. But along with that video that was produced, we've actually got another 19 gigabytes of footage that we can use to prepare our own short 30-second promos and vignettes. So we're going to do some that are themed towards specific interests, specific attractions, and also targeted at different demographics as well. So moving forward, the "You Got Me Gawler" hashtag will also be used with the hashtag "Visit Gawler" as well, which was in the tourism plan. It was noted as a hashtag to use because there's a lot of hashtag visit and then a town's name is used all around the world. So, so that will be another hashtag we use as well. And we're hoping to help support, link and capture future social media promotions through that. A digital storytelling campaign will aim to increase visitation as the end result. However, early goals will be to create that online presence with that unique, what's different about Gawler, possibly for our juxtaposition with the Barossa. We're part of the Barossa tourism region, but we kind of want to show what we've got to offer that the Barossa hasn't. So we're filling more gaps in what that tourism visitor is looking for. Considerations for when you're creating destination storytelling ideas, 82% of tourism marketing practitioners are saying that they are going to focus from now on video and vignettes as their most effective storytelling. And I think it's also very cost effective with the social media channels, the way you can spread it and the way it can go viral nowadays. But also other considerations that we'll have while working through our campaign will be utilising our unique selling points, talking with local business and entrepreneurs and creatives and trying to get them on board and get them thinking outside the square and doing something a little different to bring, you know, that little look on Gawler. Evaluating the latest trends in tourism so that we're staying with the trends as well, trying to catch a little bit of a runoff from that. Looking at consumer research and also looking at what similar destinations are producing. So next steps, as I said, was looking at working with key staff from the council's communications and marketing team who do the social media channels, etc., to develop those a full digital storytelling strategy of how we would roll this out, who we need to get on board, who we need to talk to, who are the partners in that, working with groups such as Gawler Business Development Group and their contacts through the business network, the RDA and other organisations and stakeholders in the region, to basically work out a strategy moving forward on how we can really utilise those hashtags and get things rocking on the digital channels. I guess if you want to look at a really great case study as to how an area use digital storytelling to really sell their destination, you can look at the case study that I've just noted there very briefly in the notes, because I know you haven't got a lot of time tonight, of Faroe Islands. They did a hashtag campaign called "We Want Google Street View." I don't know if you heard of it through that hashtag, but if you haven't, you may also have heard of it through Sheep View 360, which instead of Street View, it was Sheep View. Now, their big deal was on their island, they didn't have Street View on Google. You could only get the normal mapping. And they were saying, well, we think this is really hindering us building our tourism industry. We want people to see the island as well when they're looking at where they're going to go and things like that. And when they first approached Google, it was the big hand up, you know, we'll get to you, you're only a little island, etc. And so they created their own campaign where they created Sheep View. And what they did was they actually strapped 360 view cameras, digital cameras, on the back of sheep on the island, because there's about 80,000 sheep on the island, but they just chose 5. And they strapped cameras to the back of the sheep, and where the sheep went on the island, they developed Sheep View, and you could log in at any time of the day and look where the sheep are travelling. There was all these fantastic views where they were looking out over gulfs and over townships and everything. Do Google it, it's fantastic. So their Sheep View campaign was to get Google to actually go there and do Street View for them. But at the same time, the whole campaign went viral. So they ended up with over 2 billion views of Sheep View in the time that they ran the campaign. They also ended up with Google coming on board and saying, yes, we'll come and do Street View on your island. And they also had just about every news channel around the world playing the story of this Sheep View and what was happening in there. And within 2 weeks, they had their accommodation fully booked on the island. So it's not a big island, so booking it is not, you know, booking it out is not huge, but to them, that was a huge comeback. And the media marketing campaign has been valued at over $60 million now for the value that they've received back from that campaign. Now, that is a huge, super success story, and had some really innovative people thinking about it and getting that quirky idea out there. But that's the power of doing that digital storytelling. They were so successful that they went on to do Google Translate next, because the Faroan language on the island is only spoken now by, I think they said, less than 80,000 people in the world, and they're concerned that their language is going to die out, and Google Translate would not translate their language. So they ended up creating their own volunteer website where you could log on at any time, put in the phrase that you want to be translated, and a volunteer would actually make a little video of the translation of what you wanted and give it a proper context for how they would say it on the island and all that sort of thing. And then they ended up, through the power of that campaign, they then ended up getting Google Translate to actually translate their language. So the digital storytelling is, you know, a really strong way and cost-effective way of being able to get your brand out there and, you know, encourage people to come and check you out. So in the future, we hope that as we're developing the strategy for how that will roll out, and some of those video vignettes, that we'll be able to engage with people such as yourselves, as well as the local community, businesses, etc., to get on board and start using those hashtags, and also produce your own content about Gawler and why people should come, and just encourage them to visit Gawler. So, any questions?
Hello, firstly, thank you for that. That was fantastic. We've been, excited to hear about this one for a while, so that's great. Well, I know I have been excited. I'm not sure how other people feel about digital storytelling, but firstly, just a comment, it's fantastic to see that sort of organic growth. Obviously, that's really important. That, you know, that's a lot of what people focus on social media nowadays, is that organic growth. So it's good to see those hashtags and things being utilized, so that people are seeing their friends, their family doing those kind of things, and you're getting marketing that way. But just a question about that. You said the obviously the Visit Gawler hashtag was something which came through that that tourism plan, which was developed, and obviously had a lot of consultation in there, and it's very sort of obvious what that is. I was just wondering about the other hashtag, which you mentioned, which was the You Got Me Gawler one. I'm just wondering how that one was developed, and what it means as well.
So if you watch the video, which is the promotional one we made for the Top Tourism Town Awards, at the end of the video, the two people who've starred throughout the commercial video, as you want to see it, at the end, they stand there and look at the camera and they go, "You got me, Gawler." They've just visited all the different places. They've been to the accommodation, you know, been to the Cultural Heritage Research Centre. They've been to the Visitors Information Centre. They've done the bike trail, all sorts of different places they visited, been to lunch at different locations, all those sorts of things. And then at the very end, it's kind of like, "You got me, Gawler," as in, we're going to come back here, we're going to visit. You've captured me, that sort of feel. When they first made the video, it wasn't a hashtag, it was just what they said at the end. We were very time pressured, unfortunately, with the video as well. So when the creators were engaged to do the video, we had an itinerary that they needed to adhere to. We had locations identified we needed filming, and so that we've got that, you know, extra 19 gigabytes of film also that we can splice and dice and do what we like with as well. But they put that in themselves. So they're a marketing company, and they asked the talent in the video to say that at the end. At first I was like, cringe a little bit, but it actually grows on you a little bit as people start saying it. And I've had a lot of people come up to me since and go, "You got me, Gawler," like they actually like it. I was like, oh, cool, people do actually think it's okay. But it was in a hurry, but because they'd said it as the last line of the promotional video, we went, okay, that's a hashtag, let's make it a hashtag and let's just see how it flies. So, so that's where that one came from, pretty much from the marketing company who developed the video.
Oh, no, nothing else.
Anyone else?
Yeah, thank you for that. It's very exciting stuff. So If you had to give, I mean, I won't hold you to this, but if you had to give a bit of a timeline when you're hoping, you know, strategy to execution to when you really want to start amping up, what sort of time frame are you working towards?
Sorry. I got the green light. Oh, there we go. I guess the difficulty is we don't have a dedicated tourism officer to really drive this. So it sits with me, which I also have all the grants portfolio for all the external grants, which, as you know, we've just jagged a lot of money in the last couple of months. So unfortunately, it's never my number one job. It's always what I can drive in the time that I have. So I'm hoping, my timeline is that I'm hoping that the strategy would have been developed in its draft by Christmas time, and then we'll be able to really, you know, have that consultation with people who we're hoping to partner with us in it and collaborate on it. Hopefully they'll feed in before that time as well, so they're feeding into the draft as well. But that first draft document where we actually think we've got the nuts and bolts worked out, I'm hoping is around Christmas, and then hopefully in the new year new calendar year, we'll be able to start pushing things out. In the meantime, we will be using the You Got Me Gawler commercial that we've got. We will be creating some small vignettes from those, from that footage that we've got, the extra footage between now and Christmas as well. So some of that will still happen before we've actually got the full strategy. So it's just kind of a little bit chicken and eggy really doing that, but we'll take the risk and we'll do it anyway. So yeah, so Grady and Donna will be doing a lot of that digital stuff because I don't know what I'm doing there. So yeah, it's based around the three of us having time to really get those things nailed down. So yeah, but that's our hope. So thank you. Thank you for not holding me to it though.
Anyone else?
What sort of media platforms are you going to be targeting, like Instagram, Facebook? Like, what are we looking at to really like push those hashtags out?
So at the moment, council has YouTube, has Facebook, Instagram. We also have a bit in the LinkedIn space. So they're the main ones that I believe that will kick off. I think we've got Twitter as well, but it's not going to work in the Twitter space so well. I mean, we can still use the hashtags to bring people to it, but yeah. So yeah, they're the key ones at the moment. We'll also be looking at being able to utilise, you know, TripAdvisor type platforms and things like that as well, some of those tourism platforms. Also, as we develop events and things that go on to the ATDW, so the Australian Tourism Data website, as we develop events and things, we can link into things such as videos, promotional videos and things as well through that platform, and that gets put out on southaustralia.com, which is the biggest tourism website in South Australia. So we're even looking at ways that we can kind of, not subversively, but, you know, kind of link those extra things in there so that footage gets out there across those platforms as well. So, so yeah, that'll all form part of the strategy as well.
Awesome. Anyone else? No? Okay, well, thank you so much for that presentation.
Thank you.
With that, we will move on to declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? No, moving on to the confirmation of minutes. Does anyone want to move and second or make amendments to the confirmation of the minutes? Start with a mover, if no one has amendments. No, a mover, Jack, and a seconder, Xanthi. Do we have any business arising from the minutes? Ah, all those in favour? It's been a while. Carried unanimously. Oh. Don't we have to wait for Renee as well? Renee, would you like to vote on the minutes? Yep, all good. So that carried unanimously. Right, any business arising from the minutes? No, okay, and then we will move on to 7.1, the Youth Development Officer update. questions from the minutes? Nope. Okay, then we will move on to the Youth Development Officer update.
Thank you. Through the chair, the comments we've had since last meeting is that obviously thank you for those that attended our first team building night. We had a great night with pizza and games, and we will plan another poll for a future one as well, with some more suggestions of what you want to do. Also, the Youth Sponsorship Awards update. The new program was launched on the 2nd of July. We're currently completing a mail out. We've completed a mail out to all the local schools, and you are welcome to take some posters if you wish, and that includes the new area category. School holidays programs, we've just finished with those. A couple of programs got cancelled during the school holiday programs due to COVID. And this week we start term 3. So we've got a new program for the first time. It's called Dessert Cook-Offs. And we've got drama and band as well. Youth survey is currently open. So if you are aged between 15 and 19, can you please complete the youth survey for us? If you're not, can you please promote that as well? So that way, if we do get 100 results, we get statistics within our community. And next, I'd just like to introduce Abby, well, obviously Abby Martin, we usually met, our trainee, and she's going to, we thought it might be a nice idea to give you an update of what she's been doing in her role in the last month and make that part of our meetings if you're interested to hear from her.
Thank you. Through the chair, we've definitely had a lot going on recently with school holidays. It's been really good to be a part of the planning process and like seeing how it's all done and how it's all like built, like including Eventbrite and the website, seeing like how we advertise it. And it's really actually been really good to like build my communication skills by talking to parents and like the communications who run the programs and getting in touch with them, getting familiar with the people in the community and forming connections. That's been really good. I've also been a part of the skateboard workshop, and it was really good to see how much fun like the kids have and watching them progress, and they really enjoy it. It's good to get to know their parents, and also meeting Sam, the instructor. And it was actually a really good way to spend a Saturday morning, and I can see why it's like such a popular program. In regards to my training, I've begun my Cert 3 in business, and I've been working on the first 2 modules and working through that. I've also done my first aid training and my child safe environments, and those have been really good. And we've actually began to plan a graffiti program in the October school holidays, so stay tuned for that. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Abby quickly? Nope, all good.
Sorry, thank you through the chair. Cheers, just got an update as well.
Hello everyone. I'm sure you all know Natasha, who's been looking after this committee with Deb for quite a long time. In the town of Gawler, in the administration side, we've had a little bit of a restructure, mainly at the management level. So Natasha will be moving to a somewhat the same, somewhat different portfolio. So she'll be moving away from youth, and I'll be gaining the youth committee under my portfolio. So Natasha and I are doing a bit of a slow transition over the next month or 2. So she may be coming to one more meeting, we think, but we're sort of working things out between us. So I'm looking forward to spending a lot more time with this committee, and I'd like to thank Natasha for everything she's done thus far. She does a great job.
Thank you, Natasha. Move back onto the youth officers report. You're all good? Okay. Do you have any questions on the report?
So in terms of the Student Leadership Awards, is that something that we're planning to do for the first time coming up this year, at the end of this year?
Yes, through the chair, that's correct.
Awesome. Any other questions? Then we shall vote to move the report. All those in favour, please raise your hand. I move it, and first we have a mover, Xanthi, and a seconder, Hannah. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. And Renee as well, carried unanimously. Then we'll move on to item 8, items listed for discussion. 7.2 then, the single-use plastics report. Officer's recommendation that the Gawler Youth Advisory Committee recommends to council that 1, it notes that the state government declared a climate emergency on the 22nd of May 2022. 2, it notes that single-use plastics report. 3, it acknowledges the town of Gawler's draft climate emergency action plan 2022 to 2030, and that the time is of the essence in reducing emissions to achieve net zero within the community. It notes the interest of the Gawler Youth Advisory Committee to support climate action and to reduce plastic waste, in particular to support local action through the implementation of the town of Gawler's draft climate emergency action plan and create engagement opportunities with young people. Yeah, do we have any questions in regards to that motion? No, then I will ask for a mover, Jack, and a seconder, Xanthi. All those in favour? Carry unanimously. Okay, and then moving on to 7.3, the Youth Sports Person and Youth Artist Sponsorship Program. We've had 8 nominations and all of their documents are attached in the report. Do we have any questions in regard to the nominations? Councillor Shanks.
Thank you. It's probably more of a question through you to staff. So $800 if we sign this through, what's the budget, just out of interest? Are we expending our budget, or have we still got money in the kitty? What are we doing?
Through the chair, there's an annual budget of $6,000 and that covers the 3 categories. So we were roughly allocating $2,000 each. For the past, well, probably 3 to 5 years, we've never spent the whole budget. So we do acknowledge that this seems a lot in one round. However, I think we're playing a little bit of catch up because there hasn't been those competitions or opportunities for people to enter any sporting or artistic competitions. So yes, it seems a lot, but I don't think that we will spend all the funds this financial year.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the other way of like wanting to spend more money. And you know, so these $100 are fantastic, by the way. I'm all for these sponsorships, but I was just checking to see how we were tracking on the budget, because it'd be great to see it expended, because this is one of those positive outcomes things. So yeah, that was my comment there.
Awesome. Any other questions in regards to the nominations? Okay, then I will ask for a mover, Brenna, and a seconder, Jack. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. And with that, move on to item 8, items listed for discussion. First is the chair's verbal update, and I did not have a meeting with the mayor last month as we didn't have a YAC meeting. However, we were communicating via email, and she has gotten me in contact with someone called Bethany Richard, who works for Better Futures Australia, which is a climate action group. And they are holding a forum in Canberra from September 6th to September 7th, and asked if I would consider joining via Zoom or some other form of communication at one of their policy workshops, which is involved with community businesses and government leaders. And they hope that our experiences would be highly valued and would help shape discussions and submissions. Mayor Redman has been in contact with them, and told them about the climate initiatives of the YAC and also of the SEEP. I have also passed this information on to Jack, as I hope that he would somehow be able to get involved more with the SEEP, but that is still a conversation that is happening, as this isn't until September. And yes, that's all I have on my verbal update. We will move on to 8.2, which is the Climate Emergency Action Plan Working Group update. And Jack, would you like to speak to this?
A bit of a short update. So the SEEP has now finally gone to community consultation, which is quite exciting. And that involves a questionnaire seeking feedback regarding a bunch of the different actions and lead goals in the plan. So the plan ended up being 108 pages long, but there is a shorter several page summary. And yeah, so be sure to complete the survey and then share it with your Gawler networks to get the word out and try and get as many responses as possible to really make sure it's a well-informed document. Anyway, that's it.
Oh, do we have any questions in regards to either of those two updates? Councillor Shanks?
And to be honest, this is something I should know, but bear with me. When does the consultation stop for, like, when do nominations close for the SEEP?
Big Jack's on it.
And again, I'm on that committee, I should know.
Yeah,
but
same.
I did see it go live, but ended up in a little comment battle with one of them. But other than that,
I might have to report back. It's escaped me as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope, we will move on to 8.3, the Youth Advisory Panel update. Do we have an update for this one? Yes, Amelia?
So we met with the youth panel in the month of June, I think, and we mostly just talked about addiction within the community and youth initiatives against addiction.
Awesome. Any questions for Amelia? Nope, we'll move on then to 8.4, the Gawler Youth Accessibility to Transport. Do we have someone to speak to this? We have the date, awesome. After you. Oops.
So consultation closes the 10th of August.
In regards to the SEEP. Is there anyone to speak to the Gawler Youth Accessibility to Transport?
Speak, I just say that there hasn't been any further action taken yet, but we should probably write to the new minister, given that they're probably settled in by now. Just ask the mayor to write to the minister, just reframing what we said before about bringing back vort testing to Gawler and see what the new minister's stance is on this.
Cool. Any questions in regards? Nope. Move on to 8.5 then, Bike Month.
So Bike Month is still plodding along. There has been discussions with a local advocacy group called the Transport Action Network. They focus primarily on encouraging state government to take up policy which benefits public transport and active transport, so cycling and walking. They've reached out to me because their chair was one of my lecturers back at uni. And so we've been chatting a bit about how to increase that in Gawler and the northern suburbs, and using Gawler as sort of like, you know, the lighthouse community. And so there might be a potential opportunity to create a joint event with them in the future with Bike Month. And yeah, that's still happening. There's also obviously this climate emergency action plan. So Bike Month can definitely sort of keep promoting those items within the SEEP. And lastly, the Gawler Environment Centre runs its repair cafe in October as well. So it'd be a good opportunity for any of those people that have bikes that need a bit of TLC to get involved as well. And yeah, if anyone has any ideas, thoughts, comments, queries, concerns, feel free to talk to me, message me, whatever. Awesome.
Cool. Any questions for Jack?
Regarding the little repair workshop you were talking about, how's that going to look like? Is it going to be just, you know, they bring their bikes in and they just get to work on it themselves, or someone can help them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Gawler Environment Centre runs them every second Saturday of every second month. So they have a bunch of volunteers that are well sort of knowledgeable around sort of repairing bikes, lamps, all the sort of stuff that might be thrown out, but just needs a bit of assistance. So yeah, they run these events regularly, but it just happens to land in October, but they're the second one down the line. So there'll be a good opportunity to sort of thematically promote it in terms of bikes as well.
Awesome. Any other questions? No, we'll move on to item 9 then, items listed for discussion at future meetings. Don't believe we have any. No.
I think it's to the chair, I think this might be an appropriate, most appropriate time to mention it. I just want to just mention something about something I want to discuss at future meetings. It was just in relation to a motion which I originally wanted to put on the agenda, but didn't end up putting on there in the end. Last month, after the last meeting we had, I received a letter from a member of the community, just in my capacity as a member of the Youth Advisory Committee, which went to the youth space, just raising some concerns around access to sexual protection and sexual health generally in the community. It's from a year 12 student, and they just mentioned the stigma around going to buy, particularly condoms that exist, and how it can them and their peers find it as limiting for those people being able to go and seek that kind of protection. So asked me to raise it at the next Youth Advisory Committee meeting. I originally put a motion, but was informed by governance that it might not necessarily be appropriate, given there's an upcoming council election and my involvement with that. So I think the way it was put, I had it withdrawn initially. I think it may be, having looked at it, might be an overzealous interpretation of the rules, but I decided to withdraw that, and so I'll seek to discuss that at a further meeting, even if it is someone else, deferring it to someone else, because I think it is an important thing to talk about, and I don't necessarily care about whether it's me that talks about it, but I think it's appropriate to raise, and so I just want to put that out there in case that person who sent it to me is watching. They included their name, but they didn't include their contact details. So I just wanted to make sure that they knew that they had been heard, and that the Youth Advisory Committee did get that information relayed to them, and I'll seek to do something with that in the future.
Awesome. That will get put for discussion at a future meeting then, I believe. Yep. Awesome. We'll move on to item 10 then, questions without notice. Do you have any questions without notice, Brenda?
So I recently joined the Children's Commissioner Youth Panel, and I was wondering if that was something I could possibly report to the YAC. I wasn't sure if I could or not, but it could be very interesting to hear about.
Yeah, we'll take note of that. I'm sure you'd be able to at future meetings. Any other questions without notice? Cody?
Yeah, in terms of, I guess, putting stuff on the items listed for discussion, it might be good to have our trainee update put on there officially.
Awesome. Any other questions without notice? We'll move on to motions without notice. Any motions without notice?
Just one, just in line with what we've done before with Ebony and both Erin, as they've moved away from the Youth Advisory Committee, just putting a motion to thank Natasha for her work with us over this past period, which I can't remember how long it is actually. It's been a while. So I'd like to put a motion that we thank Natasha for her work with the committee.
Of course. And would you like to move that, Isaac? And a seconder for that one, Brenna? All those in favour? Unanimously carried. Any other motions without notice? Cody, Councillor Shakes.
You councillors look all the same. I was going to suggest, Isaac, you were talking about new letter to chase up where this one's sitting with, did you want to maybe move a motion that pushes that action? I'm not trying to coach a motion out of you here, but I just thought the suggestion might be there if you do want another go at a letter.
I think that's probably appropriate. It's not something I've considered in depth before the meeting, and that's why I didn't put a motion. But if everyone's happy to have essentially what was in the letter to the previous minister repeated to the new minister, and just maybe just a welcome or recommend that the mayor, we can't determine what the mayor's going to write actually, but I assume she'd say something, welcome to the role, etc., etc. This is something which the ACT is interested in and has pursued for a while, and then go on to put what was in the letter to the previous minister. If there's anyone who wasn't here for that, I'm happy to explain that and go through what was in that original letter as well.
If you could quickly.
Yeah, so there was it's a long time ago now, late 2008, or it might be early 2018 actually, the government decided to remove vehicle on-road testing. So that was the driver testing to get your Ps. They decided to remove the route in Gawler, and so that people in Gawler would have to move to Elizabeth or to go to Elizabeth or Tanunda in order to do that. That raised the costs for a few people. It was opposed by a number of driving instructors and people who do tests. Obviously, there was a whole host of transport issues which happened around that same time, and we did a bit of a survey into that, got 140 responses, I believe, in the end to that survey, just around those kind of issues. And so the mayor wrote to the minister basically saying we'd like Vought to be reintroduced to Gawler, and that's something which we've pursued for quite a while now. And obviously we've got, the minister wasn't necessarily happy to consider that. We had a couple of meetings with DIT staff, the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, and they said that there wasn't much that they could do without the minister's decision, but now we have a new minister, and so we could attempt to write to the new minister and see where they stand on the issue and whether they're willing to have a chat with us as well about that kind of stuff.
Yes. Are there any questions involved with that? Cody?
So just in terms of what is the actual wording of the motion that we're going to move?
That's probably why I wasn't originally going to move it, but I imagine it might require some crafting, but we're in capable hands. It will be something along the lines of the YAC recommends to council that the mayor write to the new Minister for Transport expressing the YAC's interest in the reintroduction of Vought testing in the town of Gawler, and that'll be, I think that the rest can be the mayor's discretion from there as to what she decides to write. If everyone's happy with that, I'll move that.
Okay, as I mover and a seconder, Xanthi, all those in favour? Unanimously carried. Any other motions without notice? Next, we will move on to the close of the meeting at 7:25 p.m. Our next ordinary meeting is Monday, the 5th of September, commencing at 6:30. See you all then. Declare the meeting closed at 7:26 p.m. Okay.